Welcome, welcome. How's everybody doing? We made it. Hump day. Whoop, 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 whoop. That means Friday is in our sights. Yes, I'm sipping wine. I'm just going to put it out there. Caryn and I are buddies. We're hanging out. I decided I was going to put my sip and sew cup to use. So let me pull up my feeds. We're going to say hi to a few people, and then I'm going to bring Caryn on. Caryn is with Simply Featherweights down in Oregon. She is amazing, and I love her. So she's waiting in the wings. Let me just say hi to a few friends first, and then we'll bring Caryn on and catch up a little bit. I've got secret questions for her too. I'm hoping to.
Uh-oh.
Stop talking. I told you. Okay, you know what? Shoot, I'm just gonna grab her. She can say hi to everybody with me. Hold on, let me. Dashboard. This. Okay. Yay! Caryn's on.
Hi
guys. All right, let me get my feeds up. Still, I got distracted with my technology. Caryn, how you doing, girl?
I am doing great. I think I'm finally recovered from being in Houston at the International Quilt Show last week.
I may or may not have told everybody that you were there and we were going to get a full update. So
yeah, okay.
Prepare.
Yep, we'll save it. But I think my feet are finally recovered from doing about 20,000 steps a day.
Shut the front door. My gosh.
That was crazy.
When we were doing the build out here and I was moving all the things, we can't just pull up to a loading zone and then we're in the store. We're in this long double-story bridge and we're literally halfway through the bridge. So we are a good jaunt and an elevator ride to get up to our suite. And I think several of those days I had over 20,000 steps. I mean, so much. Okay, I see Facebook. I'm still trying to get to my YouTube here. So, how long were you in Houston for? How many days were you there?
I got in Wednesday night. My plane was supposed to get in about 4 so I could go to preview night. And instead, it was delayed about 3.5 hours. So I didn't get in until about 8. Got about 20 minutes of preview time in. And then went to the show Thursday and Friday and came back Saturday.
Okay.
Spent a day with the vendors and a day at the quilt show. And cool. It was amazing. It was like being in a giant museum of quilts. You know, they're just
the pictures
the most beautiful ones from around the world.
We're silly. I mean, silly. Okay, let me say hi to a couple of friends. Then we're going to pin a pin in that because we're going to talk. Hold on. Okay, so we have Lisa's on from Phoenix. Hi, Lisa. Debbie's on from Kentucky. Linda's on from Tennessee. Kathy is on from East Texas. Hi, Kathy. Linda's on from Texas also. Mel and Joe are on from, she says, Mel and Joe are here and ready to rock. They're on from St. Louis, Mississippi. Angel's on from Houston. Nancy's on from Lake Stevens. Bonnie, hi Bonnie. How's it doing? How you doing, sweetie? She's on from Illinois. Judy P is on. Isabel Swan is on. Hi, friend. And Angel's the purple. She likes your purple quilt. Angel likes your purple quilt. We have a lot of purple lovers in the group here. Yeah. Over on YouTube, Gloria Ann is on. You are getting good at catching us, Gloria Ann. And Sandy's on Sandy's going to be joining me next week, Caryn. She's on from Pleasanton. She's a featherweight fan. She has a small collection of machines. So typically on Wednesdays, I do a show, either interview like a friend in the business, like an author or a fabric store owner or another, featherweight boss babe like you. And Sandy would fall under the featherweight enthusiast category. So we're going to talk about her machines and the stories that go along with them. Patty Smith is on from Missouri. Hi, Patty Smith is on from Missouri. And Missy is on from Redmond. Hi, Missy. All right, Nancy's on. So is Judy over in Kansas. Kathy Heiss is on from Redmond. Hi, Redmond. Redmond. Woo! Hi, Kathy. Kathy Zoka is on. Hello. Kim Paulson's on from North Carolina. Let's see, Pauline's on from Texas. All right, I think, Kim Warren's on. Hi, from New York. Wednesday's here, she says. Okay, Kathy Zoka, I just showed your quilt off on Instagram. Everybody loved it. And I'm actually really sad you're picking it up. Caryn, it's like one of the best uses of one of those pre-printed panels I've ever seen. It has like a beautiful like sunflower fall motif, on the panel in the middle. And then Kathy painstakingly pieced all these like acorns and leaves all the way around as like a medallion style, and then finished it off with a slap your mama beautiful fall fabric. So it's been Odie's on too. Oh good, everybody's on. So anyway, it's been on the frame, and people see it out as in the walkway as they walk by, and it keeps drawing them in. Like, ooh, what's going on?
I need one of those.
I know, but shoot, she's picking it up on Friday, so anyway, so tell me about, the quilts you were posting were, well, works of art, for any better, lack of a good term. Like, just, when I think about, because I'm a long armor, so I know what goes into like some of those pieces when it comes to an hour by hour basis. I knew when COVID hit and they decided to shut us all in, that you cannot shut creative people up in a room for too long and not have some complete masterpieces come out of it. They were amazing, the ones you were posting.
Yeah, I went to Houston, gosh, it's probably been 9 or 10 years ago now. And the difference in those 10 years is really something. I think the international community is really participating a lot more than they used to. So you get the artists from Japan, which is the other show that I would love to go to one day, is the Tokyo show. I'll probably never make it, but between the artists from Japan and Australia and Europe and South America and Iceland and Croatia. And, it used to be that I really saw a difference between the other countries and the quilts that came from here.
Yeah.
And now there's more a blurred line. I think we're both teaching each other. And so they're, they're just blurring, and it's just wonderful.
Yeah, so I met a gal who was a publisher. She was specifically with a publishing house that did translations from Japanese artists into English, and she was telling me about when you apprentice or study under some of these master quilters, for lack of a better term, in Japan, that you commit to like years, if not decades, of your life in studying their, never actually producing something of your own to show anybody for that period of time, because there is a mastery that I think here in America, it's a little lost on. Like people, I have students, obviously most of the people on the show are my students, and they discern and learn from me through camera and through sew-alongs and all of that. But the level that this gal was talking about, the time spent was off the charts.
Right.
And the fact that they don't produce anything on their own for many, many, many years. Like, that's crazy.
Yeah. And it's also the textiles too. Japanese prints are just fabulous to begin with, but a lot of the quilts are made from kimono silks. It's amazing. So it just gives another dimension to it that we just don't see here.
Yeah. Totally agree.
The only silk ones I usually see here are made from ties. And it's a little different,
It's a little different.
Yeah, it's amazing. I remember when I went the first time about 10 years ago, Sharon Schomburg, who's a big quilter out of Phoenix, had won the show. And it was a big Baltimore album quilt. Unbelievable to look at. It was just incredible. It took her 4.5 years to make that quilt. And that's the kind of commitment these people put into these quilts. I need to keep my mind active in something or I lose interest. I'm a
Yep,
short-term quilter.
I think our culture in general is like that. It's one of the
Hmm.
reasons why I don't do custom work anymore, because I
Hmm.
would have to stand at my frame for 20, 30 hours, and I can
Right.
only really stand there about 5 or 6 hours at a time. So you start
Hmm.
breaking that down by day. And I mean, yeah,
Yeah.
I can't do it anymore. I just can't.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
And I consider myself to be a pretty intermediate to advanced quilter.
Mhm.
I've been lucky to win a few awards on a much smaller scale.
Yeah.
And I just look at the quilts at shows like this, and it's like it's on such a different level that I wouldn't even know where to begin on doing some of the masterpieces that are there. They're just
That's
incredible.
great. I remember
So
I did a,
that
oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
that's no, that's fine.
Oh,
Go ahead.
I did a show before pre-COVID, of course,
Hmm.
at the Everett Event Center, and it was a really bad show for me because it was an art show. So people weren't
Mm,
there
yeah.
to like look at machines or machine bits, pieces, and parts, um,
Hmm.
and so it was a cruddy show from a business perspective. But it was hosted by La Conner. La Conner has a quilt museum in La
Oh yeah,
Conner,
yeah, yeah.
Washington, and it was hosted by that association. And then the curator of the quilt museum was there, speaking on, quilting and how it's morphed through the years and all the things. And what I liked what he said that he likened the masterpieces hanging in this show, which were, I mean, art. Art is doesn't even
Yeah.
do them justice. You know what I mean? They were thread
Right.
painted. There was
Right.
like people drew out like side profiles and silhouettes in thread and
Yeah.
just whole cloth. No, there was. Oh, this was one of my favorite pieces at the show. There was a jacket. Someone tailored like a lady's
Oh.
jacket,
Hmm.
and it was a swing coat. And guess what? She made the top fabric out of.
What?
She handpicked all
Tablecloth?
of the tags out of clothes, like vintage clothes. So there was like um,
Oh
clothing
my gosh.
tags from like Neiman and Marcus and Frederick and Nelson that isn't even in business anymore.
Wow.
And she if anybody's having trouble with the video, then refresh and it'll come back up.
Hmm.
But the entire top surface area of the swing coat, which went below the knee, I might add, because it was on a mannequin, was
Hmm.
clothing tags. She
Wow.
fabricated the entire top, and I was, because at first it looked like postage stamps. You're like
Yeah.
across
Right.
the room, and then you get up on it, and you're like, holy moly, like,
Yeah,
and
I
it was
wouldn't have the patience for that.
spectacular. I would have poked my eyes out, but like this lady looked at all the little 1-inch postage stamp tags we've got.
Wow.
A swing coat. That's what I'm gonna make.
Yeah, one of my favorite exhibits in Houston was a Victorian clothing that a gal makes, and some of them she put kind of a steampunkish kind of curve on it, and
It's cool.
with little additions and stuff. But oh my gosh, the clothing that she made, the details of it, and it was just phenomenal. All quilted, of course, so.
Okay, I'm a bad featherweight doctor. I literally just noticed the purple featherweight in your background.
Oh, I thought about that when you said the purple quilt. I was going to say, tell her to look at the purple featherweight back there. That's
Bad
my
doctor. Bad.
that's actually what got me started in featherweights was a purple a purple one.
What's her
So
name? Bring her over. Let
Joe
us see
Carroll.
her.
Joe Carroll. She is my named after my sister, who died when I was young. And but she was kind of my partner in crime and crafts and stuff. She was 11 years older than me,
Okay.
and so purple is her favorite color. I'll bring her up.
Oh, I that looks very, very, very purpley.
Yeah,
Oh,
it is.
she's
Look how
so
pretty she is.
pretty.
Yeah,
Oh
funny
my,
story. Yeah, there we go.
yes. That is stunning.
Yeah,
Is that
she's
plum
really pretty.
crazy
Say
purple?
that again.
Is that plum crazy purple?
I honestly don't remember. I'd have to look it up. I've had it
That's
for a while.
awesome. It's beautiful.
Yeah, she
It,
really is pretty.
Joe
And a
Carroll.
funny Joe Carroll, that was her name. So it's
Oh,
named after her. And
that's
then the
awesome.
black one that's in the back on my
Yeah.
table is named after my grandmother, who I think was the only quilter in the family. And that's Edna May. And
Edna.
yeah, I love it.
Love it.
And I'm sure that her mother and probably her grandmother were also quilters, but she's the one that I remember sitting there with the little paper templates and, everything, doing everything by hand. So she got
Amazing.
the first one.
Very cool. So
Yeah.
tell me, did you notice any like trends that we should be aware of? Like you know how those shows are usually kind of
Mhm.
like precursor to what is coming out
Right.
next. So tell me what kind of trends you noticed.
So I noticed that templates for quilting on domestic machines. There were probably 10 booths with templates.
What
And
like quilt as you go kind of thing, like where you're doing one
no,
block at a
just when
time?
you sit down and you use your domestic machine,
Yeah,
to with the feed dogs down. So
yeah.
quilting, but with ruler work. So
Oh, yeah,
everybody
that's a
is
good
coming out with
thing.
rulers specific to the domestic machines, which is it's cool.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, my
and
Bernina, I had to buy a special ruler foot, but I bought for
yeah,
with my Bernina, and I'm trying to find one for the featherweight.
um, Wesley through
Yeah,
So
that's the only
Steady.
one, but they're so
Yeah,
expensive on the front end. I was trying to find just the foot
right.
because one of the rulers I like, a Quilter Select ruler, has the
Mm-hmm.
right template thickness to it. And the only thing about, and I don't know if you've tried any of this, but I have with the Westerly and the featherweight, you can use their
Mm-hmm.
universal low shank sized foot. But the
Mm-hmm.
problem with it, in my opinion, is that if you can move front to back no problem because you're not
Mm-hmm.
limited on space, but the minute you start
Right.
trying to go side to side, you hit that little 4 inch, you have
Right.
about a 4.5 inch neck. But the tables, like the acrylic extension tables that we
Mm-hmm.
carry and all of that,
Right.
really help make the ruler work on the little neck machines. You just have to flip the
Yeah.
project 3/4,
Mm-hmm.
90 degrees,
And then a little
and then
bit.
instead of going side to side, you're going front to back. So that's interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I've never done anything bigger than like table runners on my featherweight,
Oh, really?
mainly for that issue because it just gets too crowded. And I would never consider myself. I'm more a piecer than a quilter.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I don't have a long arm, and so I'm really interested in going the domestic route and seeing how far I can take it. I have a big brother too that I have a
Yeah.
bigger throat space on that I can do something with. Um,
Yeah.
but
I teach a lot of those classes. Like we teach
yeah,
a quilt as you go class,
hmm
and
yeah,
the so
that I've actually done on the featherweight a little bit of
yeah, the
that. So,
sew along we're getting ready to start. Hopefully after we get through the holidays, we'll all be
mm-hmm.
featherweight, piecing and quilting on like 12-inch blocks. So,
Right.
yeah, I think there's something very like, is it nostalgic? Is that the word I'm looking for? That is so soothing to me when I'm in free motion mode on the featherweight. I mean, I have the big fat fancy,
Mm-hmm.
Bernina with the 12.5-inch neck and all of that. And
Right.
don't get me wrong, I like quilting on that also. But there are just some times in my day to day life where I just want to like chill out and not worry about a fussy. I mean,
Right.
some of my
Yep.
featherweights are fussy also, but
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
no, what?
I think it's for me. It's the hypnotic sound
Yeah, the tick
of
tick tick
them.
tick tick tick. Yeah, for
You
sure.
just it just I don't know. It's just soothing. It's something. It's probably from when we were kids or something and heard it somewhere
Yeah,
along the line. It certainly isn't from any of our plastic machines that we've had over the years.
yeah.
So and I learned on a machine. It wasn't a treadle. It was electric, but it was an old free Westinghouse, probably pretty much like an old 201 or something. That
Okay.
size.
Mm-hmm.
And so it had that sound too.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think it takes me back to that because that was kind of my happy place when I was a kid to be in the room
Um,
sewing.
You said that there were many vendors. They're
Mhm.
not all selling Westerly. Is there another competitive like product
No,
coming up?
no, these were actual quilters that were pushing their own brand. That have come out with their own line of rulers, and there were a lot of classes there. I kind of decided at the last minute to go to the show, so everything was full when I went to sign up
Okay.
for classes. But I can, I'll give you. I'll look up on the thing and I'll look up some of the names. But
Yeah,
they're
I'd love to
definitely
know.
instructors that are coming out with their own.
If I can find the foot that
Hmm.
is not the Westerly foot, I'm carrying it. Like I
Okay.
think I
Yeah.
can demonstrate the heck out of that.
Hmm.
And the fact is that one of the reasons why people lean into those templates, which long armors have used for years, I might add, is because it produces quality of work that is similar in style and quality to what the long armors can do.
Hmm.
So I totally understand the attraction from a domestic sewing machine standpoint. I just, and I like the Westley. I was like a teacher when
Hmm.
I
I
lived
know
in
what you mean.
Arizona. Um, but I, I just think the price point, the intro price point is almost
Agree.
65, 75, $80, depending on where you get
Right.
them from now. And all you do is you get the foot and a straight ruler. Well,
Yeah. So
we
funny,
use them.
funny little story is
Yeah.
that I entered a quilt in a quilt show in Oregon, and my quilt was voted viewer's choice.
Nice.
And one of the sponsors for the show was Westley, and so I got a $250 gift certificate, and it was for
Nice.
rollers and stuff, and it's when they first came out, and I was all excited, and the show wasn't far from their headquarters in Eugene, Oregon, so I just drove over with my little certificate
There you go.
and went up to him, and I only ended up $250. To me, I thought, my gosh, I'm going to be set for life. And it turned out to be a foot
Mhm.
and I want to say 3 rulers. They
Yeah.
were so expensive.
Kathy, who's a buddy of mine in Redmond, Washington, was saying that there's one called a Clarity foot. Have you seen that one?
No. Mm-mm.
No, Kathy, I'm going to look that up because she
Yeah, I'll
says
have to
it's
make a
very
note of that one.
reasonably priced. Because I think for me, like, because I was teaching the ruler, the Westerly ruler system, the intro was introductory price was about 85.
Hmm.
Gosh, I can't remember now, 75, 85, something like that. But then, like, to move up from there, you were at like
Yeah,
200 for the
that's what I
next.
mean. I,
Yeah,
I
and
thought I'd
and
have like I thought I'd have like 15 rulers in the foot because of my
the
prize,
other
I got
the
3 rulers in a foot, so that
yeah,
was a little
the other thing
troubling.
that people need to understand before they make the investment in that type of a system is that if you already have trouble with free motion quilting, the
Hmm.
ruler is not going to fix that. You need to
Right.
have a full grasp of the starting and stopping and how to fluidly
Hmm.
move the fabric underneath the needle of the machine before it. I considered it an intermediate class before you then stepped into the ruler foot work, because
Hmm.
that added a whole nother layer of complication
Yeah.
to quilting. So
Yeah,
oh
we're
oh
oh.
I'm sorry, Kathy just said I won a $2,500 prize from Westerly and received all the rulers a couple of years ago.
Wow. Now that's
Holy
a
moly.
prize.
Yeah,
That's
that is a good
amazing.
question. Odie wants to know, Kathy, if you use them. I mean, Kathy has a long arm. I will say, Odie, Kathy has a long arm. So she probably just does her bigger stuff on her long arm. I mean, if
Hmm.
you have access to one and you have a massive
Yeah,
quilt.
way to go. We're going to have our local guild here, the Umpqua Valley Quilters Guild. I do programs this year for them, and we're getting ready. Next spring, we're going to have Christina Camelli. Have you ever heard of her? Great long armor instructor, does great classes, and everything is going to be on the domestic machine. She's going to be here for a couple
Ooh,
of days, I think.
that's
Yeah,
awesome.
so, yeah. So
Very
I'm excited
fun.
about that. She's good. She's out of Portland,
Very
and
good.
really good, has multiple books out and everything, so we're excited about her. So
So tell me, what has been
mhm.
going on in this post COVID kind of season for Simply Featherweights?
Um, it's been interesting. um, all the shows in Oregon were canceled
Yep.
for a good 2 years
Yep.
almost.
Yep. That's
A
why
year
I
and
left
a half,
Washington.
year and 9 months or so.
Mhm.
So I went and I did the Reno, Nevada show in June.
Okay. You're right.
Not, yeah, not quite sure what to expect because it was still
Right.
kind of early. And it was fabulous for us. The everybody was so wanting to get out and
Yeah.
spend money, and so
Hmm.
I did that. And then a couple of weeks ago, I did the one up in Portland,
Yeah.
the Portland Expo, and it went really good for us. There were not hard. There were very few vendors there, and we were the only ones that had any kind of notions. So
Really.
not only did I sell 8 machines there, but I
Holy
also sold.
guacamole.
Yeah,
Not
yeah, it was
me.
great. But
My
I
best weekend
sold,
was
all
6.
kinds of notions and stuff. So it was a good show. So everybody is starting to put their shows back on. I think I'm up to 5 shows through June of next year.
That's awesome.
And I just did a class as well up in Albany, Oregon, and have a couple booked after the first of the year too.
Cool.
So, and I'll be teaching at Reno this year too.
Yeah, I had to kind of clip the show schedule had to get
Mm-hmm.
wickedly abbreviated because I have
Yeah.
the store now and I have to
Right.
be
Right.
here, which is amazing, but it's that has limited my show travel schedule. I'm still going to be
Oh,
at
sure.
Expo
Hmm.
in March, of course.
Are you
Which is
going to the Puyallup in November?
Yeah, that's my big.
Okay.
Yep, yep.
Okay.
We're vending and speaking, teaching.
Mhm. Oh,
So
good.
yeah, it's I can't. And then the travel, because now I get on planes. So like I'm in Nebraska. I have 2 workshops next year booked already in Nebraska. Be in Nebraska
Mhm.
in 2 weeks. I have Phoenix will be twice next year, also February, and then again in the fall. And then I'm working on some other like not like a beachfront where I'm there regularly, but just little one-offs. So, yeah, the teaching is really. I love the teaching part of it. I love
I
shows
do
too,
too. Yeah.
but I feel like it's like that every day in here at the
Hmm.
store. So,
Right.
um, so at least I get that little itch scratched, if you will.
Hmm. For sure. I mean, that's the whole reason I do shows is to
Yeah.
get people interested for classes. I love to teach. That's my
Yep.
favorite thing on earth. So,
Yep, for
um,
sure. That was
yeah.
if I didn't sell one thingamabob at a show, but I could drive people to the classes, that was why I was there. Because
Hmm.
that's really where my first love is also, which is probably why you and I get along so well.
Yeah, it is. And I've, I'm, I don't know. I'm just happy to share the knowledge of the featherweight. It really bothers me when people get taken by service,
Oh,
technicians and stuff, people that don't know what they're doing. And
yeah.
I can't tell you how many times I've had people come to my classes and say, "Oh, I just had it serviced, so I'm just going to
Oh,
watch."
if
And I'm
I
like,
had a
"No, you're
dollar,
not."
if I had a dollar.
Yeah. I'm like, no, you're not. You're going to do it and you'll see why as soon as you start.
Yep.
And every single one of them. And I mean, they're charged $150 by some of these
Mhm.
places to have them serviced, and they're not even clean when they
I,
get done.
there was a friend of mine in Nevada that had purchased a machine from a shop that I will not mention, and
Mhm.
I was mortified, like
Yeah.
mortified when she landed up in front of me in tears, I might add, because the
Mhm.
motor, she'd like press the pedal, press the pedal, press the pedal, nothing. Press the pedal, run, press the pedal, nothing. And it turned out what was happening was something was her bobbin, no, carbon brush wasn't seating tightly
Oh.
on her coil,
Hmm.
and it was filthy, which is what it would get stuck in the up position, which is why it would work sometimes and not work others.
Hmm.
And she tried to go back, and because she ended up having to buy a whole nother motor for me because she was on an RV trip with the machine to use on the RV trip. She did not have time to wait for the machine to be sent to my motor guy in Phoenix and cleaned and all that fun stuff. So she bought a whole nother motor from me, and then ended up getting the other one serviced and fixed in hindsight. So now she has a backup because she accumulated a few more featherweights after the first one. But yeah, she went back to the original place, and they wouldn't even give her money back and questioned her to no end when she said the motor was defective.
Wow.
This was a featherweight business.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, I feel like, and I'm sure you feel the same way, because I feel like we have to operate on a certain. Oh, hey, Jen. Oh, y'all come. Oh, Alabama. I've been to Alabama one time.
Yeah.
But like, I just feel like we have to operate on a certain level of integrity. And when you hear of someone not being treated well by another business like ours, and I'm sure you feel the same way, feel the need to kind of like redeem the situation, right? Like, we're not all like that. We are, we're not being bad business owners. You know what I mean? They can't just lump us all in. And when you buy from a specialty shop, or you service from a specialty shop, you should expect a certain level of integrity and quality, I think. Yeah. And so I think that was a bummer when people give us a bad name.
When I, not long after I got interested in featherweights, I bought a school bell from a well-known featherweight store.
Yeah.
And it turned out it had replacement parts on it, from an Alpha Sew.
And I've had that happen many times from another featherweight store. Yes.
And I just, come on, guys. Yeah. I mean, and I understand why, because, some of those parts are really hard to find. But just list it as that, say what you've replaced, price it accordingly.
Yep.
That it has replacement parts, and then,
Yep. I'm always totally disclose if I have a foot controller that isn't original, or a bobbin casing that isn't original. That is completely disclosed, because
me too.
I don't know. I feel very strongly that this business, much like you, this is why we get along, that our business is a lifelong business and not a fly by night, here one day, gone the next kind of thing. And I want someone to come back to me in 10 years and say, hey, I bought a machine from you 10 years ago, and you took such good care of me, and I'm ready to buy the next one. Or let's face it, it's never 10 years. It's like 10 minutes. I want to buy another one.
Sometimes it's the same week.
I know. My buddy on here, Sandy Martin, says they're like Lay's potato chips. You can't just have one.
That's what I always say too. In fact, I don't have my sticker to show you, but I came up with that decal that says Featherheads Anonymous on it. And that's specifically why, because we need a 12-step program. But my husband says that it's really a 13-step program, but we only know 12 steps, and that's why you don't stop.
I need to get another sticker from you. My car I traded my car and I lost my decal. Bernadette is on.
You got it.
I have 3 Bernadettes that join me regularly, and this one is from Bellingham, Washington. She says, my first featherweight from a sewing place I go to was a hot mess with grease. She said a hot mess. I took it to another person who knows featherweights and teaches maintenance, and she cleaned it up. I now know how to do it myself and took a maintenance class from her. Perfect.
Oh, good.
Yeah. I often joke if I'm ever at a workshop or whatever, and I open up a just disgusting machine, I say, oh, that technician thought he was being paid by the ounce of grease he used.
Yeah, exactly. Like, why would you put somebody told me in my last class, they said when they opened their machine, it was cupcake frosting.
Oh, I'm sorry, but it's not Bellingham Bernadette, it's Canadian Bernadette. I'm sorry, Bernadette. Those Canadians, I also
kind of feel like, and I know some wonderful men out there that do deal in featherweights and know what they're doing and take care of it. But I feel as women owners and stuff that we're kind of held to a different level. We almost have to prove that we know what we know.
Oh,
And
yeah.
and so our
Don't even
integrity,
get me going
I
on
know.
that rabbit hole.
So our integrity and what we do, has to be at a certain level,
Well,
so
because we
that
work
we're
in a,
respected.
I think I used to tell people all the time that I was a woman owned and operated business. And then I read this thing that said that by talking about how the fact that I am a woman owned business in a predominantly male run industry,
Mhm.
that I diminish
Right.
my accomplishment. And I
Hmm.
thought,
Yeah, I don't do it anymore either.
totally right. Totally right.
Yeah.
Because I
Yeah.
100%. Like
Yeah. And that's why I don't think I've ever even voiced that to
yeah, I
anybody
used to.
else.
And then
But
because I thought
yeah.
people would like to know that they're
Hmm.
supporting a woman-owned
Right.
business, and then I read that it was, I can't remember, was it Reese Witherspoon, because she is like
Hmm.
a shark
The
business-wise
dynamo.
behind the
Yeah.
scenes. Not only is she a great actress, but she
Right.
is a phenomenal supporter of women-owned businesses. But she
Hmm.
goes, know that you kind of diminish, like,
Yeah.
oh, I did have to work twice as hard to
Hmm.
get here, and like you said, to display our knowledge and our intellect, because
Hmm.
everybody. I'll never forget this one time. I walked into some guy's house. He had purchased a machine for me, and he had messed it up. I mean, to be perfectly honest, he had messed it up. He used the tool that forced the bobbin
Hmm.
assembly to go counterintuitive to
Yeah.
metal. We all know the tool I'm talking about. And he had thrown the machine out of time.
Hmm.
I walked into the house. I was on a vacation, and we had stopped through on the way home. 4 hours out of my way, I might add, to get this machine
Oh,
back in time. And I walk in with my tool bag, and my husband just happened to be following me because he's not going to send me into some perfect stranger's house
right.
without some muscle. And the guy looked at him and said, "Are you here to fix the machine?" And my husband goes, "No, she is."
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, buddy.
Hmm. Yeah, it's my husband goes to classes with me,
Yep.
and he'll do things like uh, rewire a pedal or something, while I'm teaching, and inevitably somebody walks to them and thinks that he's the one that knows, and he goes, "No, you need to talk
That's
to her.
her.
I don't. I know like two things." you know. So
That's
that's good.
awesome. I
Yeah.
have Mel. Mel said we traveled from Mississippi to Idaho just to validate our love of featherweights. She's
Oh,
her and
that's
her
sweet.
husband Joe. And then Kathy in Texas said, "Amen." On the males think they know everything. I tell my son what I need him to do on my machines and how to do it. Thank you, Darlene and Mr. McCullum, Dave McCullum.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Well, we have a few minutes. Tell me, I'm all in the Christmas spirit today
Yeah.
because
Mhm.
we are decorating here at the mall. And so I need to know,
Mhm.
inquiring minds want to know, Miss Caryn, what your favorite holiday tradition is.
Um, that's a toughie. We have several. I think my favorite, and it gets harder now that the kids are grown,
Yeah.
but as the kids were growing up, my husband had this thing about wrapping the main gift to the kids in such a way that it would take them hours to get to
Oh,
it.
my husband used to do that. Oh my
but
gosh.
but
Yes.
every year it was more and more creative. And the last year when my daughter was going to college, that she was graduating that year, so we got her a new computer and a laptop, and that's what she told everybody she was getting, a laptop, and it kind of ticked me off a little bit because I'm like, don't you assume anything.
Yeah, yeah, girl. Hello. Yeah.
I'm into surprises, so she opened the box that the laptop had come in originally, and it was a book.
Ha ha
And
ha
so
ha ha
she just
ha.
immediately deflated. And then I had this big box, and she opened it up, and we had taken the computer and wrapped it a million times in cellophane and stuff. And then
Oh
my husband filled the box with expanding foam, like the stuff you put in walls and stuff.
Oh my gosh, that
And what
will
was
teach
funny
her.
was that it was so dense that it wouldn't harden all the way down. So she would have to, she chipped it out until it got soft. She got down to a different layer, and then she'd have to wait for that to harden so that she could start chipping away again. And it literally took all
Wow.
day.
So,
So we still do stuff like that, but not quite at that level.
so I married into this family that has this gift of being able to tell what's in a box, like they have X-ray vision, like Superman.
Yeah.
And so many times I'd be at my in-laws' house and there would be a box with rocks underneath the tree, and my mother-in-law would pick it up and shake it and go, "It's a diamond tennis bracelet. It's a diamond tennis bracelet." You know, like it was huge. And so I remember with our kids, because my son didn't get the gift, but my daughter got my husband's gift of X-ray vision through the packaging. So we used to, when the kids were small, we would do a scavenger hunt for the presents. So they would literally get clues along the way to find the present that was hidden somewhere in the house. So this is one of my favorite like memories when the kids were small. But one year we had got my son, who turned out to be quite a great musician. He plays like, he's not a savant, but he definitely can play like drums, piano, guitar, electric guitar, like anything he picks up, he can just figure it out. But we got him his first full drum kit. And so we needed to get him out of the house in order to get it set up. So he had like 3 or 4 clues. And the second to last clue was to send him out of the house and down to a telephone pole out of the neighborhood that had its last clue on it. And I felt really bad that morning when we woke up to 6 inches of snow.
Oh.
Because he was going to have to traipse through the snow to get the last clue just to traipse home, which would give us time to get the kit set up underneath the tree. Oh, that was the best Christmas. He was so mad and then so happy in like a nanosecond. Like the minute he realized that all of that trudging through the snow was totally worth it, he was it was kind of the best. So
yeah, we had one other one that was really good too, where my husband races off-road vehicles. And so we had always taken the kids quad riding and stuff, but they didn't have their own. And so we got them their own that Christmas. And we had them in the driveway all set up and with bows on them and everything else. And we took string, tied it to a branch of the Christmas tree with like a ring on it. And then after they went to bed, and then took the string and went all through the house, outside, onto the other side of the yard, inside the house, down to the neighbor's tree. And they had to take this ring and they had to follow it all the way or they wouldn't know where the present was. Yeah, it was great. And so, and the end of it, they went out the door and there it was. The quad was right outside the door. And it was great. And it probably took them an hour because the whole time they were grumbling, mumbling,
until they saw what was at the end of the show.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
It's always fun.
Caryn, I am so glad you were able to say you would come on today. I know you've been hustling, and so have I. And you were so sweet when you realized that we were opening the store, and you called me and you're like, "Fill me in."
I know, that's so exciting.
So sweet.
I'm
just
glad
really
it's well
appreciate your encouragement and your friendship, and anything I can do for you.
Well, I'm hoping to get up to the quilt show. And with another friend. So hopefully I will, and I'll be able to stop in and say hi. Are you having a vendor booth as well?
Yep, we'll have a booth.
Okay.
And I'm supposed to be doing some free talking and all the things. So
okay.
Yep.
I'll hunt you down.
All right, girl. Well,
okay,
have a great evening. Thanks for spending 45 minutes on with us.
I know. Happy holidays, and happy holidays to all your fans and clients and everybody out there. All your Facebook.
Thanks so much.
People.
All right, girl. Have a great night.
Thanks.
We'll see you soon.
Okay.
Bye, sweetie.
Bye-bye.